Tonight on the Daily O, a former OSU president passed away earlier this week. We'll have the campus community reaction. Plus, Oklahomans are taking pot to the box. The ballot box, that is. Stay tuned for the details on recreational marijuana in Oklahoma. And an exclusive sit-down with Jerome Loffridge, Senior VP at OSU. That and much more is straight ahead on the Daily O. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brody Myers. We're glad you're with us tonight for the Daily O. We begin with some sad news. James Halligan, former president of Oklahoma State, died Thursday. He was 86. Halligan served as president from 1994 until 2002. The former president took over during a time of turmoil, but Halligan quickly proved popular with students and faculty. A number of academic advances and improvements occurred or began during his 8 years as president, but he also had to deal with the loss of 10 lives, including several students, in a 2001 plane crash involving the OSU men's basketball team. Current President Casey Schrum said in a tweet, "I was deeply saddened this morning to learn a former Oklahoma State President Jim Halligan had passed away. He faced and overcame many challenges as president of our beloved university, reversing a trend of declining enrollment and resetting our future on a more positive track," end quote. In other news, Payne County Commissioners voted to extend the burn ban. The ban will last at least until November 10th. That's according to a resolution. It is illegal for people to make campfires or set fire to trash, among other restrictions. You can see the full resolution on the City of Stillwater's Facebook page. The state of Oklahoma has seen a significant surplus in its budget, over $7 billion more than last year. A new report shows the improvement in the state's financial health was primarily a result of federal COVID stimulus money and pension plan investment returns, which means the state's future financial stability will depend on sound financial decisions from the legislature. It also looks at unreported liabilities to get a full picture of how well state governments are balancing their budgets and making sound financial decisions. Oklahoma had a $5.7 billion surplus following fiscal year 2021, which broke down to a surplus of $5,200 for each taxpayer. According to the report, it was a stark contrast to its financial position after 2020, when the state had a taxpayer burden of $2,300 per taxpayer overall. Oklahoma had $17.6 billion with a B available to pay $11.9 billion worth of bills, including public employees' retirement plans, leaving it with billions more in surplus. COVID relief, funds boosted many states' scores, and the authors warned against state governments getting comfortable with those numbers as pandemic relief money goes away. The state's surplus included increase in the market value of public employees' retirement plan assets, which experienced an unrealized return of more than 28%. The report said last year's report labeled Oklahoma a sinkhole state, meaning it didn't have enough funds to pay its bills. This year, it was one of 19 states that were able to cover all of its bills, winning them the title of Sunshine State. Keeping things with Oklahoma, Governor Kevin Stitt is calling for a March vote on legalizing recreational marijuana after a series of legal challenges kept it off the November ballot. The governor issued an executive proclamation Tuesday for the referendum that, if approved by voters, would legalize possession of up to an ounce of marijuana for persons over the age of 21. Voters will get to decide the issue on March 7th. The state would collect a 15% excise tax. The proceeds of that tax would be split among several entities, with public school programs on drug abuse and the general fund receiving 30% each, with courts, local governments, and other drug treatment programs also getting a share. The Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled last month that the question could not be on the November ballot because of pending legal challenges. The petition to put the measure on the ballot got bogged down in the Secretary of State's office. The court said its decision. Time for a quick commercial break. The Daily O will be right back.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
You may have been to casinos at some point in your life, but do you really know the truth behind the game you're playing?
And the casinos were very polemic or very controversial when they came out. But the truth was, that's all the federal government gave us.
Casino is owned by the Chickasaw Nation and has roughly 600,000 square feet of dedicated gambling space, making it the world's largest casino. It contributed massively to the Chickasaw Nation, posting a net revenue of $1.4 billion for the fiscal year of 2017.
Welcome back into the Daily O. Taking a look into your national headlines, experts say mortgage rates in the U.S. could decline next year, but more economic troubles may be brewing. The Mortgage Bankers Association released an updated forecast for 2023. They expect mortgage rates to drop to 5.4% by the end of next year. According to Freddie Mac, the average rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is nearly 7% right now, while Oklahoma currently sits a tick below 8%. The group also warned in its forecast that they also expect a recession to hit the U.S. in the first part of 2023 and unemployment to rise. They say the recession will likely be driven by tighter financial conditions, reduced business investment, and slower global economic growth. If you've had a bad experience recently when flying, who hasn't? You aren't alone. The U.S. Department of Transportation has reported a major spike in airline complaints. The month was also marked by flight cancellations and delays. According to the department's data, it received more than 7,000 complaints from flyers, 320% more complaints than it received before the pandemic. Much of those complaints dealt with cancellations, delays, or other concerns about the airline's schedules. Delta Airlines received top marks for the most flights, arriving on time, followed by Alaska Airlines and Spirit Airlines. At the same time, United Airlines topped the list for canceled flights in August, with American Airlines close behind, followed by Southwest in the number 3 spot. It appears workers are getting paid more, but inflation may have them feeling like they are getting paid less. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released its quarterly employment cost index Friday. It showed wages are increasing, but they are not keeping up with inflation. Wages and salaries for workers rose 1.3% in the third quarter and over 5% on the year ending in September. That's when you don't add in inflation. When the numbers are adjusted for rising prices, wages and salaries have actually declined 3% over the year. The costs for employers are rising. Paying for wages and benefits cost employees over 1% more in the third quarter, not accounting for inflation. Earlier this week, Vice President of Operations for OSU, Jerome Loveridge, joined me to discuss a wide variety of topics regarding the future here at OSU. Here's a sneak peek.
And our Ocala TV interview series continues with a very special guest. I think the easiest way to say it is member of Dr. Trump's cabinet, Dr.
Sure.
Jerome Loveridge. Just going to give us the blow-by-blow of who is Jerome Loveridge.
Okay. Native Oklahoma kid from Duncan in Stevens County, the son of 2 Pokes. And so my parents both came here for college. My dad was an English major, and mom was what we now call Family and Consumer Sciences, and at the time called Home Ec. And so I'm from at least a couple of generations of OSU grads.
Yeah. And a lot of the times that people started seeing you on television was when you were in Stitt's cabinet,
right.
working on the COVID response team. Talk about your experiences with that and how it shaped you to get here at OSU.
Right, great question. So that's actually where President Shrum and I met. We were both serving in the cabinet. I had joined the cabinet as Secretary of Health and Mental Health, and she as Secretary of Science and Innovation. Neither of us had anticipated being in the midst of a global pandemic any more than anyone else had. And so my job in that respect had really been to take a look at the $8 billion worth of healthcare services that are provided through the state, mainly federal dollars, to rationalize some of the organizational components to help transition some of the leadership. So it was more a managerial role that I was called into. About a year into that, the job description changed and it became crisis response manager. And so that was a pretty sporty few months of service to the state. Wouldn't trade it for anything. And in fact, now it helps inform a class that I teach here at OSU. It's an honors college seminar. Shameless pitch on Wednesday mornings at 8:30, but we do public policy during times of crisis, and so a lot of that course is derived from that experience serving on the governor's cabinet.
And speaking of some big numbers, I kind of want to get into the strategic plan.
Yeah.
Something that really stuck out to me was the massive amounts of scholarships. I think the number is you want to get like 40% debt free, and then the other half less than 10 grand is what?
Yeah, it's actually bolder than that even. It's
Okay.
60% graduating debt free. And then for those who have debt, which currently is 40% or so, for those individuals that they leave with no more than $3,000 per year of debt.
Okay.
So if you attend 4 years worth, that our objective would be to have you leave with not more than $12,000 of debt, 15 for a 5-year victory lap.
Yeah. About where's OSU on that right now?
For OSU students who have debt, it's about $5,000 a year on average for indebtedness. So you see, basically, we would contemplate lopping $2,000 on average per year off of that total. So it's an aggressive goal. It's an aggressive reduction on our average indebtedness and increase in the number of students that we want to leave completely debt-free. And if you just imagine 10 years from now, we just celebrated homecoming, imagine looking around and imagining that 60% of the folks made it all the way through an OSU graduation without any debt. We think that's a laudable goal and one that's worth our effort.
Yeah. How's it going to get done?
Hugely contingent on our philanthropic, our donor community. And the reason we think that makes sense is we believe people find this compelling. If you just look at the national conversation right now around student indebtedness, it's the thing people think about when they think about college.
Thank you to VP Loffridge for stopping by. The full 10-minute interview can be found on the Ocala TV YouTube page. It's been a chilly one here in Stillwater. Taking a look into your 7-day forecast. If it will, there it is. High of 69 today, got down to 49. Tomorrow, a little bit colder, 68, 46, warming up just a touch on Sunday, 68 the high, 47 the low. Really getting warm as we begin next week, the next work week that is, 75, 78, 77, 76 the highs. Low Monday, 42, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 48, 53, 56. Looks like balmy weather as we get into the next work week. Time for a quick break on the Daily O, but when we return, Connor Bergen has sports. You won't want to miss it.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
Over the years, we kind of realized that you can get ribs anywhere, you can get a steak anywhere, but you can't always get a Mountain View hot link like ours. So we really decided to focus on that niche and realized we had something really special. So that's when we started focusing more on the hot links, but it's still the same family recipe they were making all those years ago. For us, many of our people that work here have been with us for for years and decades. So whereas machines kind of break down over time, the people just get better. And it shows in the products we produce. When you buy a Mountain View product, not only is it gonna taste dynamite, but you're also feeding Oklahomans. You're helping employ Oklahomans, and you're helping to fund the state's economy. So what's better than that?
Happy Friday and welcome back into the Daily O. Connor Bergen here with you today to help you guide you through that sports world as we get into that weekend. Starting things off here at OSU Athletics, Cowgirls soccer ended their regular season off in winning ways, shutting out the Baylor Lady Bears 1-0. OSU's goal was scored by senior Megan Haynes in the 66th minute, and goalkeeper Jordan Knights, man, you've heard her once, she had 3 saves in her 6th shutout of the season by just a freshman, mind you. The win brought the Cowgirls' overall record to 11-3-4, and they finished 5th in the Big 12. The Cowgirls will begin Big 12 championship play on Sunday in Round Rock, Texas. They'll be the number 5 seed taking on the 4 seed West Virginia Mountaineers at 2 p.m. Moving over to the gridiron, Cowboy football has always showcased their team-first mentality when on the field. But when injuries begun to take a hit on both sides of the ball, that's when the next man up mentality helped turn a 14-point deficit against the Longhorns into their 6th win of the season. Peyton Schmidt has more.
When it comes to Oklahoma State football, a program built around culture, there seems to be a new blue-collar feel that's been evident this season. Heading into Week 7, where the Cowboys would take on Texas, adversity struck when key players such as Brendan Evers, Braden Johnson, and Thomas Harper were ruled out, leaving a next-man-up mentality, says defensive coordinator Derek Mason.
You don't know when your time is coming, but when it comes, you got to be ready.
For players such as Colin Clay and Stephon Johnson, who have lacked field exposure, rising to the occasion was quite the challenge, but not one they couldn't handle.
Say 6 exceeded my expectations of the way he would play in that particular situation. The moment didn't get too big for him. Colin got better as the game went on, and he's going to have to play. He's going to have to play 40 snaps a game for us, and he got a little bit better as the game went on.
Alongside Clay and Johnson, Muhammad and Nixon also rose to the occasion after having pivotal plays on both sides of the ball that helped lead the Cowboys to a comeback win. Not only did this next man up mentality stick out to head coach Mike Gundy, but veteran players as well.
One guy goes down, whoever's out there, whatever 5 guys out there at whatever position they're at, they got to be able to play. And, we've got guys that have been trained at every position. And so, everybody's pretty versatile and everybody can play every position. So if something were to happen, we take it in stride and keep pushing forward.
Like they said, next man up mentality. So we prepare in practice. They get one's reps. Everybody get one's reps, so they prepare in practice. They get the playbook. So next man up mentality, and they did good.
So I think the next man up is not necessarily of, I think it's just a question of when is it going to come. It's a long season. Injuries do happen. It's inevitable. So I think no one's really surprised when stuff happens because they've ripped it so much in practice now. And we go against our defense every single day. So when you go against a great defense like that, then getting in the game, it should only make it, if not easier.
The Cowboys look to continue to face adversity this weekend in Wildcat territory, where they will continue this next man up mentality. Reporting from Stillwater, Peyton Schmidt, Ocali TV.
Thanks for that, Peyton. Well, Cowboy basketball now, we're switching gears, is now right around the corner. With less than 2 weeks before the season open up, head coach Mike Boynton continues to work on getting his team ready. Kelly Austin has the latest.
The Cowboys are finally less than a week from the tip-off of the season. Oklahoma State men's basketball starts with an exhibition game next Thursday. But before that, here are a few things you need to know this week. The Cowboys are feeling prepared and ready for the season. Most recently, the team had a close exhibition game against SMU where they got to put themselves to the test.
What I felt pleased with was the way we competed against someone who we weren't familiar with, right? We didn't know what they were going to run, what type of defense, and we responded to the challenge.
The Pokes are moving in a cohesive unit this season, focusing on team goals to push themselves. In the past few weeks, we've heard stories of the true freshman Keon Williams, and we got to talk to him about his transition onto the team.
Then I'm just coming in freshman, and then I'm just throwing me in the lava. I can't do nothing about it. So over time, I feel like I've got better with the speed, knowing how to, help down on defense, knowing how to rotate, just the small things that Coach Mike really wants.
Cowboy culture is a cornerstone in making the leap to college level play. Williams spent most of his career up till now with older players playing at higher levels. Coach Boynton talks about how playing up has helped Q be more prepared for his career at Oklahoma State.
The way I would say is just playing against real competition, and challenging yourself, not always being the best guy on the court, not always being able to dominate the other people out there, and having to do things that maybe are uncomfortable early.
If you attended Homecoming in Hoops last Friday, you also saw Keon perform on stage with Waka Flocka in a true show of his personality. Homecoming in Hoops is the ultimate pep rally to get fans ready for the season, and it did just that.
The Greek life energy in the building was off the charts, and I'm glad we did it because I have heard whispers from some young people out there that they were very impressed with what they saw.
And that's what you need to know about your men's basketball as we lead into the start of the season. Mark your calendars because the day is almost here. November 3rd at 7 p.m. right here in Gallagher-Iba Arena, the Cowboys take on Washita Baptist. Show up, show out, and go Pokes. For Ocali TV, I'm Kylie Austin.
Thanks, Kylie. Time for one last break here on the Daily O. But when we come back, we'll dive into your preview for Cowboy football as they face off against the Kansas State Wildcats. Don't go anywhere. The Daily O. We'll be right back.
A Golf Digest 5-star course, best new public course won and opened in 1994, and a top 100 public golf course in America since 2003. This course, just 5 miles outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma on Highway 51, is named after one of the influential golf pioneers this game has known.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek's a modern golf course.
The beauty of the course is in large part to the elements of the grounds. The Georgia fairway is transformed from its original forested landscape. Georgia was used to combat the tough winters so golfers could play year-round. The greens are large and sloping bent grass hills. The low-cut bent grass can be similar to glass during peak championship conditions. The bunkers surrounding most holes remind golfers of a white beach rather than a deep hazard. Lake Louise, surrounded by the second 9, completes the perfect finishing hole. The long par 72 course perfectly combines nature with the difficulty of a championship course. Karsten's added challenge is the Oklahoma wind.
So there aren't any other schools in the country that have that same commitment to college golf as we do here at Oklahoma State.
But if you're going to play at the highest level, you've got to be able to focus on where you want to go. And Karsten Creek does a good job of training you to do that, because if you don't, you're going to have a long day. And that's a great legacy that Coach Holder left, because that's the way he coached.
Week 8 of the NFL kicked off last night in Tampa Bay, where the Baltimore Ravens came in. They saw they conquered and defeated the Buccaneers in their own stadium. The 27-22 win for the Ravens brought them to 5-3. Meanwhile, Buccaneers fell to 3-5, making it the worst 8-game start in Tom Brady's career. Despite being without tight end Mark Andrews and wide receiver Rashad Bateman all game, that sucks on my fantasy team, but the Ravens offense was able to score 24 points in the second half. They were led by quarterback Lamar Jackson, who threw for 238 yards and tallied 2 touchdowns. Backup tight end Isaiah Likely came up big for the Ravens in Mark Andrews' absence. He caught 6 passes for 77 yards and added on 1 score. Tom Brady's 325 passing yards and a late passing touchdown to Julio Jones was not enough to cut it for the Bucs. Moving things over to the Diamond. The 118th World Series will begin tonight in Houston, where the Astros welcome the Philadelphia Phillies. Houston has so far gone undefeated in the playoffs, capping off their American League victory by sweeping the New York Yankees. It wasn't an easy path here for the Phillies. They were only the 6th-seeded team in the National League, but they've gone 9-2 in the postseason to make the World Series, even knocking off some notable opponents, especially with the San Diego Padres. But Regardless, before we let you go, we're now less than 24 hours away before the number 9 ranked Cowboys take on the number 22 ranked Kansas State Wildcats. This now marks the 4th time the Cowboys have matched off against a ranked opponent with a lot on the line. Nathan Shell has the preview.
Another game, another opportunity for the Oklahoma State Cowboys to take a step closer to the Big 12 championship. This Saturday, the Cowboys are back on the road for a matchup against the Kansas State Wildcats. K-State looks to bounce back from a closely contested road loss to the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs. On the other hand, OSU solidified bowl eligibility last weekend with a thrilling homecoming win against Texas, as the stakes continue to get higher as the season goes on. The Cowboys have won 9 of their last 13 matchups versus the Wildcats and have taken the last 3 contests. Head coach Mike Gundy says something that will challenge his squad this Saturday is the home field advantage that Kansas State brings to the table.
And it's full, the crowd, they do a good job with their students. It's the atmosphere, and it's a great college environment.
Ranked 22nd in the country and coming in as 1.5-point favorites, the Wildcats have posed a significant threat with their run game, ranking top 10 in the nation among Power 5 teams in rush yards per game. The Wildcats' offense stems from 2 elite players in quarterback Adrian Martinez and running back Deuce Vaughn, who have combined for 13 rushing touchdowns this season. Gundy says that the Cowboys must be prepared for the variety of creative sets that Kansas State offers from their playmakers in their offensive attack.
Kansas State is a big pull team. They like to block down and pull, powers, counters, a lot of things with quarterback read zone. So, in my opinion, they don't run a play that is just a run. It's got a quarterback read on it as well.
In addition to playing another ranked team this season, OSU faces the challenge of having their fair share of injuries in recent weeks. Offensive lineman Taylor Maturko says that this game will require a next man up mentality.
One guy goes down, whoever's out there, whatever 5 guys out there at whatever position they're at, they got to be able to play. And, we've got guys that have been trained at every position. And so, everybody's pretty versatile and everybody can play every position.
The game is set to kick off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time and can be viewed on Fox or streamed through Fubo TV. Reporting from Stillwater, Nathan Shell, Ocali TV.
Thanks for that, Nathan. Now make sure 1 hour before kickoff to make Ocali TV your home for the pregame show. Dylan Walker, Emma Lightfoot, and the entire Ocali TV crew will keep you covered on everything you need to know leading right up until kickoff. Well, that's going to wrap things up for today. Thanks for stopping by. The Daily O will be back in action on Monday as Grayson Singleton will keep you informed with everything that goes on in the sporting world over the weekend. Now, have a safe Friday night and a happy weekend, everybody. For Brody Myers and the entire Ocali TV crew, I'm Connor Bergen. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number 1 items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful downtown, so come see us in Pawnee, Oklahoma.
We use the very best of the best ingredients. Demerara sugar is the best there is. Very high quality fruits, berries. The milk we use is the best milk there is. That's why it makes our product stand by itself. I like to make yogurt because I like to eat yogurt. We've been doing this for ourselves for many years because it's a tradition in our family. And we want to have a product which would be very similar to French yogurt, but with our touch of uniqueness. Linking our name, our products, with the reputation of the Made in Oklahoma Coalition was probably the best thing we have done as far as promoting our product.